visit since 2019. Donald Trump signs an executive order that would impose a $100,000 annual fee for H-1B work visas, potentially dealing a big blow to technology sector that relies heavily on skilled workers from India and China. Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is expected to visit Washington soon as India-US trade talks resume and progress positively following discussions between negotiators on proposed bilateral trade agreement. President Trump says he will visit China early next year and meet President Xi Jinping at a regional summit in South Korea as he announces that a TikTok deal with China has been approved following a phone call with his Chinese counterpart. Russia's defense ministry denies that 3 of its MiG-31 fighter jets illegally entered Estonian airspace after NATO scrambled aircraft to intercept and warn them off. The ministry says the jets are on a scheduled flight. Israeli military warns of using unprecedented force in Gaza City, urging residents to evacuate as its ground offensive intensifies. United Nations chief urges the world not to be intimidated by Israel's ongoing Gaza war. President Trump announced that U.S. military has struck another drug trafficking vessel in international waters, resulting in 3 deaths. He did not specify whether the incident occurred off the coast of Venezuela. And Wall Street stocks ended the big Fed week at an all-time high. The bull run powered ahead, with the S&P 500 marking its 3rd straight week of gains, while calls for a breather have emerged after an almost $15 trillion rally from April lows. Bullish sentiment has prevailed. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced big changes to the U.S. immigration policy on Friday. First, a steep new fee on H-1B visas for high-skilled foreign workers. And second, a new gold card visa program allowing wealthy individuals and corporations to gain residency through substantial payment. Trump signed a proclamation imposing a $100,000 annual fee on new H-1B visa applications. The H-1B program is for foreign workers in specialty jobs, often in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, that employers say are hard to fill with qualified U.S. workers.
What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H-1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. You're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land.
About 85,000 H-1B visas are available each year through a lottery system. Among recipients this year, Amazon got more than 10,000 visas, the highest of any tech company. Other big names include Microsoft, Apple, and Google. The administration argues that many H-1B workers are paid around $60,000 a year, which is well below what US tech workers typically earn. The goal, say officials, is to ensure foreign workers are truly high-skilled and prevent undercutting US wages. Also notable, in 2024, lottery bids for H-1B visas fell by nearly 40% after the US Citizenship and Immigration Services cracked down on abuses such as submitting multiple applications to increase chances. Critics say the program has been misused by consulting companies, staffing firms, which hire foreign workers at lower cost and contract them out, sometimes displacing US workers or depressing wages. Supporters of reform welcome the change, but argue that raising a fee alone will not fully fix the imbalance. Alongside the H-1B changes, Trump also signed an executive order introducing a new gold card visa program. Under this, individuals must pay $1 million to the US Treasury. If a business sponsors them, the fee is $2 million. The stated aim is to admit only extraordinary people at the very top who will create businesses and jobs in America. As part of the justification, officials say the existing employment-based green card program admits approximately 281,000 people a year, many of whom earn an average of $66,000 annually, which is considered by this administration to be the bottom quartile. The gold card program is expected to raise over $100 billion for the Treasury. Together, these two measures suggest a shift, limiting more conventional immigration through work visas while opening a high-price pathway for the wealthy and those deemed extraordinary. The administration claims this will protect U.S. jobs and wages, reduce immigration they view as less economically beneficial, and raise revenue. Critics, though, warn about fairness and whether the wealthy buying their way undermines existing immigration ambitions. And for the latest on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani has sent us this report from New York.
President Trump just announced sweeping changes to U.S. legal immigration. Companies that hire foreign workers through the H-1B visa program will now have to pay $100,000 per year per worker. This is a massive increase meant to discourage reliance on foreign talent. At the same time, he also unveiled the new gold card visa, which grants residency to individuals who pay $1 million or $2 million if they're sponsored by a corporation. A higher tier platinum card offers even more benefits. What does this mean? Well, this could reshape the job market. Tech and engineering firms that rely heavily on skilled foreign talent will face skyrocketing costs, which may push them to cut back or outsource overseas. For smaller businesses, they may just ultimately be priced out entirely. Politically, it delivers Trump's promise to tighten legal immigration while also rewarding those who can well pay the high price. Susan Teherani reporting from New York for WION World this morning.
NATO members Poland and Estonia have accused Russia of violating their airspaces, triggering immediate responses from NATO forces and raising concerns of a dangerous escalation. On Friday, Polish border guards said that 2 Russian fighter jets violated the safety zone surrounding the Petro-Baltic oil platform in the Baltic Sea. They added that the jets performed a low-altitude flyover, breaching the platform's protected airspace. This comes just days after Polish aircraft shot down suspected Russian drones that had entered national airspace. Estonia has also accused Russia of an incursion, claiming that 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets entered its airspace over Vindloo Island for 12 minutes. Italian F-35s currently stationed in Estonia as part of NATO's Baltic air policing mission were scrambled to intercept the Russian jets. Sweden and Finland also deployed rapid reaction jets. Sweden released photographs of Russian jets that it said had violated Estonian airspace. It specified these pictures were taken over the Baltic Sea after the jets had left Estonian airspace. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called Russia's actions unacceptable and accused Russia of deliberately destabilizing that region. Estonia has now formally requested NATO consultations under Article 4, which allows any member to call talks if their security is threatened. The talks could take place next week.
If Russian fighter jets entering to the NATO airspace, so it is a threat. And also NATO responded in a very adequate ways. NATO fighters went up, and of course we had all the readiness to respond. But yes, happily they were escorted after 12 minutes out from NATO airspace. And if you have Russian fighters in your airspace, if you ask, is it a threat? Of course it is a threat.
Russia has denied the charges, claiming the MiG-31s are on a scheduled flight from Kalyria to Kaliningrad and remained over neutral waters, more than 3 kilometers from Estonian territory. European Union's foreign policy chiefs said that NATO members must not show any weakness because this makes Russia do more. President Trump says he is not pleased with the situation, adding that this could be a big trouble for Moscow.
Well, I'm going to have to look at it. They're going to be briefing me in a short while, so I'll let you know about it tonight or tomorrow.
What's your take in general? Just being
Well, I don't love it. I don't love it. I don't love it when that happens. It could be big trouble, but I'll let you know later. They're going to brief me in about an hour.
President Trump has announced that he will host Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan at the White House on September 25th. The visit marks a significant moment in US-Turkey relations, particularly regarding ongoing disputes over fighter jets. Erdogan's visit to the White House will mark his first bilateral trip since 2019, when Trump was in his first term as US president. The visit also follows a meeting between the two leaders at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. President Trump and Erdogan are expected to discuss several key agreements, including a large-scale purchase of Boeing aircraft and a major F-16 deal. The two leaders will also continue talks on the F-35 fighter jet program. The F-35 program was halted in 2019 after Turkey purchased Russian S-400 missile defenses, raising concerns about potential security risks. Despite this, Turkey has expressed interests in rejoining the program, and the president is optimistic about concluding these talks positively. The F-35 program is seen as a crucial for US military relations with its NATO allies. Taken to social media, Trump said that shared good relations with the Turkish president and expects trade and military deals to come through when they meet on September 25th.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will visit the White House on September 25th for high-stake talks with President Trump. Erdogan says the agenda will be broad, covering trade, investment, and defense, and he hopes the meeting can contribute to halting conflicts in the region. Trump, for his part, highlighted their, quote, very good relationship and said key discussions will center on major deals. Turkey is poised to order up to 250 Boeing planes, secure new F-16 jets, and possibly resolve the long-running dispute over the F-35 program. Both leaders are framing the summit as a mix of economic partnership and regional peace diplomacy.
The Trump administration has reportedly asked Congress to approve a nearly $6 billion arms sale to Israel. And according to reports, it includes a $3.8 billion sale for 30 AH-64 Apache helicopters, nearly doubling Israel's current stocks, and a $1.9 billion sale for 3,200 infantry assault vehicles for Israeli army. The huge sales come as U.S. plans to broker an end to the nearly two-year war between Israel and Hamas, which have stalled, and after Israel's strike on Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has issued a warning that it would operate with unprecedented force in Gaza City, telling residents to flee as it presses its ground offensive. The campaign comes ahead of a planned move by several Western governments, including Britain and France, to recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations next week. The Gaza Civil Defense Agency estimates that around 450,000 Palestinians have left Gaza City since Israel's military offensive began. This number is similar to the Israeli Defense Forces' recent estimate of approximately 480,000 people fleeing the city after receiving evacuation warnings. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says that Gaza is the worst level of death and destruction that he has probably seen in his life. He also warned that the world must not be intimidated by Israel.
We should not feel intimidated by the risk of retaliation, because with or without doing what we are doing, these actions would go on. And at least there is a chance to mobilize the international community to put pressure for them not to happen.
The Portuguese Foreign Ministry has announced that Portugal will recognize a Palestinian state on Sunday, and the official declaration of recognition will take place before a high-level conference that is scheduled next week. On Friday, the United Nations General Assembly overwhelmingly voted to permit Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to address its annual gathering of world leaders via video conferencing. This decision comes after the US revoked Abbas's visa last month, sparking widespread criticism. India was among the 145 countries that supported the resolution, which allows Abbas to participate in United Nations meetings and conferences remotely for the next year if he is unable to travel to the United States. Meanwhile, Pope Leo XIV has expressed frustration at the lack of any movement to end the war in Gaza, saying not even the United States has managed to make headway. He also added that it is important for the international community to not grow numb to the suffering of the Palestinians. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan emphasized that Jerusalem holds significant importance for all humanity, transcending Muslim interests alone. He stressed that defending the city is crucial for upholding peace and shared human values. Time now for Wild DNA Sports. Russian athletes will continue to participate under a neutral flag at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics, just as the case was in the Paris Olympics. Russian and Belarusian athletes will only be allowed to compete if they meet strict conditions. There have been some statements by international sporting bodies like FIFA which suggest that Russia could be allowed entry into global competition soon. However, the IOC has made no change to the rule that was enforced when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. The decision was taken at a meeting in Milan on Friday, which was headed by IOC President Kirsty Coventry. Athletes will have to undergo checks to prove they do not actively support the war in Ukraine or have any links to the army. The size of the neutral delegation now depends on the international sports federations, which are responsible for the qualification process. Remember, some federations like World Athletics continue to place blanket bans on Russian and Belarusian athletes. Just 15 Russian athletes participated in the Paris Olympics, so Russians and Belarusians will compete as individual neutral athletes. They will have to qualify for the Winter Olympics through the process of their respective international sporting federation. Russia and Belarus will not be allowed to display their flag, anthem, colors, or any other identification whatsoever of their countries. The medals won by these athletes will not be counted in the overall medal tally. Time now for Wild DNA Entertainment. London Fashion Week returned with a jam-packed season, reaffirming the capital as a global hub of style and creativity. Here's a report.
We've got 157 designers on the schedule this season, more than last September, activating in many different ways, from catwalk to digital presentations, appointments and beyond. There's so much to love and so much for us to feel proud of as a nation.
And it's a wrap on this edition of Wild DNA on WION World is One. Thank you for watching. We leave you these images of climate stories making headlines across the world.
लगा नहीं था कि इतनी एक्टिंग करनी पड़ेगी.
As the bats of Bollywood makes waves online, we meet the star actors that make Aryan Khan's directorial debut. Know why Guillermo del Toro is parting with some of his valuable belongings, and decode if couture can really be modern. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts,